The security guard's hand was already reaching for his radio when Nadia turned around. She had been standing at the front desk for 4 minutes. She knew because she had counted, the way her mother taught her to count when she needed to stay calm. The receptionist, a woman with a blonde blowout and a headset, was turned sideways in her chair, speaking into a phone with her hand cupped around her mouth. That was the second time she'd made that call. The lobby of Kroft Capital occupied the entire ground floor of a glass tower on Park Avenue. White marble floors, 2 sculptures taller than Nadia's entire apartment, an actual waterfall running silently down a black stone wall behind the desk. Nadia had never been inside a building like this in her life. She stood in the middle of it and did not move. 2 guards were coming from opposite sides of the lobby. The one on the right was large, wide shoulders, slow, heavy steps, the kind of man who didn't rush because he didn't need to. Nadia was 11 years old. Gray school uniform, jacket a size too big because her mother had bought it large so she could grow into it. White socks, black shoes with a scuff on the left toe. Her braids were neat except for the left one near her temple, which had started to loosen somewhere on the end train. She hadn't fixed it. She didn't want to put down the notebook. The composition notebook was black with a cracked spine. She was holding it flat against her chest with both arms wrapped around it. The way you hold something you are not going to let anyone take. She had practiced what she was going to say every night for 11 days. The larger guard reached her first. He stopped closer than he needed to, and looked down at her from a height that was meant to feel final. Miss, flat, professional. You need to come with me. Nadia looked up at him. Her voice did not shake. Tell Mr. Kroft that a girl is here about a car. A pause, exactly the way she'd practiced. A car registered to Harrow Group LLC, used on the night of October 14th, in the Bronx. The guard blinked. Just once, just slightly, but Nadia saw it. She pressed the notebook tighter against her chest and waited. The guard stepped away from her. Not toward the door, not toward his partner. He stepped to the side, 10 feet, turned his body slightly away, and made a call. Nadia watched him the entire time. She had learned in the past 63 days to pay attention to the small things. The way a person's shoulders changed when they were nervous. The way someone's eyes moved when they were deciding something. His back was mostly to her, but his right hand was pressed flat against his thigh, and his weight had shifted to his left foot. He was not reporting a trespassing child. He was asking someone what to do. That meant the name had landed. Harrow Group LLC. She had known it would. That was why she had led with it. Her name was Nadia Carter. She had lived, in a 4th-floor apartment in the Bronx with her mother, Simone Carter, who worked the overnight shift at a medical records office and came home every morning by 7:15 and made Nadia's lunch before she slept. Egg sandwich on the days they had eggs, peanut butter when they didn't. She had not been home in 63 days. She was staying with Mrs. Okafor, 2 doors down in apartment 4C, who smelled like cocoa butter and kept the television on low at night so Nadia wouldn't have to sleep in silence. Mrs. Okafor had not asked how long Nadia would be staying. She had simply pulled clean sheets from a cabinet and said, "You eat what I eat." Every evening after dinner, when Mrs. Okafor moved to the living room, Nadia sat at the kitchen table and opened her composition notebook to the first page. She had started writing on the night it happened, before the shock had fully settled. She had sat on the floor of the dark bedroom, afraid to turn on the lights, and written down everything she could remember while she could still remember it clearly. 3 nights before they took her mother, Nadia had been awake when she shouldn't have been. Her mother was in the hallway, standing near the coat hooks, speaking quietly into her phone with her back half turned. Her free hand pressed flat against the wall beside her, fingers splayed, like she needed something solid. "I told you I can't do this anymore." A pause. Her voice dropped lower. "I've seen enough. If you try to use me again, I'll go directly to..." The person on the other end spoke. Several seconds. When her mother's voice returned, it was quieter and more careful. "I don't care who he is." A shorter pause. "I have a daughter." The call ended. Diane Carter stood completely still in the hallway for a moment that felt much longer than it was. Then she walked to the front door and checked the deadbolt, the chain above it. Then the living room window. She looked down at the street below and stood there for a long time without moving. Nadia eased the door shut before her mother could turn around. She did not ask about the call that night. She did not ask the next morning or the morning after. She understood, without being told, that asking would only make her mother work harder to seem calm. And her mother was already working very hard. 3 nights later, at 9:22 p.m., someone knocked on their door. Diane looked at her daughter. Her face was composed. Her eyes were not. "Go to your room. Close the door. Stay quiet. I don't care what you hear. Do you understand me?" Nadia understood her. She went to her room, closed the door, counted to 30, then opened it 1 inch. 3 men in the hallway. 2 she had never seen. Dark clothes, the kind of faces you'd struggle to describe because they had clearly worked at being forgettable. They stood at angles like people who had done this before and knew where to position themselves without being told. The third man Nadia recognized, Mr. Adeyemi. He managed the leasing office on the ground floor, had worked there as long as Nadia could remember, wore fleece vests in 3 colors, kept hard candies in a dish on his desk, and let the building's children take 1 each when their parents came to pay rent. He had smiled at Nadia in the elevator last Tuesday. "Keep it up," he had said. He had meant it, or had seemed to. He was standing in her hallway now, not smiling, watching her mother with an expression that was not unkind, and was also not sorry, and was, somehow, both at once. Her mother handed him the envelope, white, sealed, both hands. Voices rose briefly, not shouting, controlled. But the shape of the conversation was an argument, and it was one her mother was losing. Mr. Adeyemi did not involve himself. He took a step back, reached for his phone, and made a call. He did not look at Diane while he spoke. Nadia looked at him through the 1-inch gap and felt something cold move through her chest. He had known this was going to happen. He had been part of making it happen. 11 minutes passed. She counted. Headlights appeared on the street below. A car pulling to the curb, black. Clean and expensive and completely wrong for this street at this hour. Nadia moved to her bedroom window. She looked at the plate, pressed each character into her memory the way her mother had taught her to memorize spelling words. Slowly, deliberately, 1 piece at a time. The streetlight was directly overhead. First 3 characters, clean. Last 3, blurred at the angle, shifting as the car adjusted to the curb. She held them in her mind and narrowed them down and held them tighter. Then she went back to the door. Her mother was being walked out. No coat. They had not given her time for a coat, and Diane had not asked. She was walking steadily, not struggling, not resisting, with the deliberate calm of someone who had decided that dignity was the only thing left available to her. At the bottom of the stairs, just before the front door swung closed behind them, her mother looked up. Not at the street, not at the car, up, at the window, directly at Nadia. 1 second. The kind of look that has to carry everything it needs to carry in the time it has to carry it. Her mother's lips moved. 2 words, slow and clear and shaped for a specific set of eyes watching from a specific 4th-floor window. Find someone. The door closed. The black car pulled away and turned left and was gone. Mr. Adeyemi walked back toward the leasing office without looking up, his hands in his pockets, unhurried. Nadia stood at the window for a long time. She was still holding her pencil. She had not remembered picking it up. She went to her school bag, took out the composition notebook, sat on the floor of her bedroom with the lights off, and she began to write. 9:22 p.m. 3 men. Mr. A. Envelope, white, sealed. Second car, 11 minutes, black. Plate, first 3 confirmed. If you need to know if Nadia was in the right place, in the 3 men that took her mother away, part 2 is coming, and you don't want to miss it.